Welcome to the Warriors and Wardens podcast, formerly the Origin Canine podcast. We are dedicated to sharing the lived experience of military and first responder communities from Australia and around the world. I'm your host, Tom Brown. Enjoy the show. Alrighty, g'day boys and girls. Welcome to another episode of the Warriors and Wardens podcast. It's been a while between drinks, actually. I was just saying to my guest that I'm sort of umming and ahhing about what I want to do with the podcast, where I want to take it. But we're here now. And today I've got Joel Davidson, who is a current serving Queensland police officer in the dog squad. Got a hell of a story. I'm a little bit nervous, but we're doing it.
We're here.
Yeah, 100%. Thanks for coming on, bro. Appreciate it, man.
Oh, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
No, dude, good. And like, we've been sort of teeing this up for a little while. Because, mate, we sort of we only crossed paths a few times, fucking few years ago.
Symposium was the first time I met you. Symposium, when was that? 21. Brisbane Dog Squad.
Yeah, I mean, I got the coin, I could tell you.
Pretty sure it's 21, or was it 22? No, I had my knee done. It was 21.
Yeah, I was going to say, it was a long time ago, man, yeah.
Yeah.
Far out, Brussels sprout.
Yeah. And a bit of back and forth, mate, with a bit of gear. Back in Origin Canine, and yeah, here we are.
Yeah, it's all right, man, eh? Fuck, dude, it's weird talking about Origin Canine now, because I'm like, not that I'm not in it, I still own it, it still exists, but I'm just outside of it now, you know what I mean? That's a weird thing anyway, yeah. But anyway, that's enough about me, mate. You talk about me for a while. No. Dude, let's go back to the beginning, mate. I want to hear about early Joel, man, growing up.
Early Joel.
Get us with it, dude.
Right, man. So, mate, I was born in Toowoomba. Moved to Sunshine Coast when I was real young. I would have been less than 1 year old. Don't remember anything back then, obviously. And grew up on the Sunshine Coast. Went to school there, rugby league. Just had a pretty standard middle class lifestyle growing up. And mate, it's probably nothing outside of the usual happened growing up. There was no crazy stories, no crazy learnings. Probably not until I was about 16, 17 years old, getting towards the end of high school, and I started to put a bit of pressure on myself, thinking, what am I going to do? What am I going to turn into? And the usual stuff you go through as a late teen. And mate, in high school, I was just, you hear it on all the podcasts for dudes in our line of work. It's like the guy that doesn't focus in class, doesn't give two shits about his schoolwork, he's just thinking about lunchtime, girls, playing sport, all that sort of shit, fighting. And that was sort of my schooling, man. In Queensland, at that time, we had OP scores, and the best you get was a 1, worst was 25, and I got 17. So I was pretty low on the scale of intelligence, and nothing's really improved since. But yeah, and so school just wasn't for me. I wasn't ridiculously naughty or anything. Got in a few fights here and there, just dumb footy shit, man. Playing around with my footy mates at lunchtime, doing dumb shit. That's all. I just had no interest in being there. Looking back now, that's 100% ADHD and why I was like that. But yeah, and so went through there, played footy when I think I was 18. So in my last year of school in year 12, I decided, let's try and join the cops. And no real drive behind it, apart from I just thought it'd be a cool job, cool opportunity. I know there's heaps of stuff you can specialise in, and I knew a few cops at the time, and they were like, yeah, man, have a crack. What's the worst happen? You don't get in. And luckily enough, I managed to get through on my first go when I was 18. Got accepted into Brisbane Academy just after my 19th birthday. So super young, man. Looking back, way too young to be doing it with where I was at that stage of my life. So went through the academy in Oxley, graduated in 2013, and I was posted to Toowoomba where I did my first year training. After my first year, they've kept me in Toowoomba. That's where I got my permanent posting. So that was 2013. I worked through to Toowoomba till 2018. During my service in Toowoomba, that was a pretty heavy hitting five and a bit years there. Exposed to just about everything you could think of. Toowoomba's one of those districts where it's outside of the southeast Queensland square, but it's still close enough where you get a lot of that transient crime coming in and out. Lots of drugs, lots of guns, lots of violence, and everything that comes with it. Stolen cars, all the way up to murders. So, mate, I had a lot of exposure in my time in Toowoomba, especially my first year. Looking back, my first year as a Connie at 19 years old, man, I had some pretty heavy-hitting jobs. From car crashes with fatals. One of them, young 2-year-old boy, got hit by a truck, all the way up to Australia Day 2014. I was with my second mentor at the time, working a night shift together. We had an absolute buster of a shift, just non-stop all night, as Australia Day normally is. And then we're knocking off at 6 a, got to about 5:30, 5:45, I think, roughly. And we're like, let's swing through Macca's, grab a quick fare, go and finish our paperwork off. So, no, Hungry Jack's, sorry, we go to Hungry Jack's, they're closed, and we're like, oh, shit, and there was a little green car in front of us. We said to them, we're like, oh, they're shut, guys, turn around, you have to go to Macca's. And then as they've gone out through the traffic lights, we were just tailing behind them. Got T-boned at super high speeds. Like, I'm talking, the speed limit would have been 60 odd Ks, and this car got hit. I think they estimate about 160 K an hour. So, man, just like witnessing that, to the young fella getting hit by a truck, to murders, double homicide, suicides, like in that 5 years, man, I look back and I'm like, how did I even survive that? Like, how am I even still in this job? How did I not lose the plot? And yeah, man, it was a very enjoyable district to work in, but it was starting to eat me up a little bit in my time there. And during that time in 2016, my oldest brother, Dwayne, got diagnosed with cancer, unfortunately lost his battle. So going through all the stuff in the police and all the exposure where I'm still trying to figure out who I am. Like, I'm not even a man yet. I'm still a teenager, and looking back at it and then losing my brother. And then a year later, Brett Fort getting murdered on the job. And I knew Brett Fort. At the time of his passing, I was on leave with my oldest boy, Kai. He was born a week before Brett was murdered, exactly. So I was off at work at that time, but leading into it, I was relieving in a unit outside of general duties in Mount Isa, in Toowoomba, sorry, in property crime. So we were I did a few raids with 40 leading into that, looking for Rick Madison. And that job hit me massively and completely changed how I looked at policing. So, man, looking back now, just spilling the beans on some stuff I haven't thought about for forever. Toowoomba, what a story that is in itself. Like, it's that was its own journey, man. And during that time, I was pushing, like, when I started to figure out how to be a cop, what sort of cop I was, what I enjoyed, I thought Dog Squad's it. Toowoomba Dog Squad at the time were pretty heavy hitting at that point, and I had a lot of respect for those boys there. They were really good at their job, and it gave me something to strive for. I was like, I love the hunt. I love the chase. I love everything about being a dog handler. I like dogs. Why not give it a go? So I started fostering puppies from Brisbane as soon as I could. That progressed. One thing led to another. Let's just call it half a dozen puppies. Bought and sold some of my own dogs as well, and developed them and sold them on. Developed a bit of a passion for it, which then turned into a lifestyle, which then turned into a career opportunity. Managed to win a spot in Mount Isa Dog Squad in 2018, and worked in Mount Isa as a general purpose police dog handler. And that leads me up to, I briefly moved to Townsville in 24. We'll get to the story why I'm back in Mount Isa, but leads me where we are now, man, as a dog handler. Luckily enough, I managed to convince the service to promote me. So I'm sergeant officer in charge of Mount Isa Dog Squad, which is crazy. I shouldn't be. I'm barely an adult.
You should be. You are, man. Yeah.
Yeah, we are.
Dude, that's a lot, man. That's a lot in a short period of time, bro.
It is.
I want to let's go back to Toowoomba, man, to your first year, just briefly.
Yeah.
Like you said, man, there's a lot of stuff going on, dude.
Yeah.
Pretty heavy.
Yeah.
Do you remember your first job ever?
I remember my first arrest. I was with one of the TCS boys in Toowoomba, which is the same unit 40 worked in. I remember my first arrest. It was at Wilsonton pub in Toowoomba, like a bit of a ghetto pub. And the fella I was working with, he's like, "Oh, this guy, we just got a tip off. This fella that's wanted for a heap of domestic violence breaches. He's at a pub." And I was like, "Oh, cool." He's like, "Do you want to come and arrest him?" And I was like, "Me? You want me to walk in and arrest this dude?" And this was a pretty bad guy. And he's like, "Yeah, like, let's see what you got." So away we went, and here I am, like, at the time I would have been lucky to be 65 kilos, not an ounce of muscle on me, just skin and bone walking in, not a hair on my chest or my face, and I'm walking in telling this hardened criminal that he's under arrest, and he just looks at me, he's like, fuck. And then, yeah, mate, from there it was a little bit of a wrestle. Luckily, my offside at the time was a pretty good fella, and he jumped in and backed me up and helped me. He introduced me to policing. He introduced me to proactive policing and hunting, and showed me that not every crook's gonna walk out with their hands up and give up to you. So that was good, man. I remember that. That was pretty eye opening. I realised that there's people out there that aren't going to respect me at all. They're going to fight, and I've got to be switched on. I've got to be one step ahead of them if I'm going to be able to do this job. So it was eye opening, man. It completely changed everything. Like, growing up on the sunny coast, played footy my whole life. Kickboxing since I was a young kid. So, like, it wasn't that I don't think, like, I could handle myself. But when you're up against a dude that's way bigger than you, way meaner, you don't know what his drive or motivation is, and you don't know how far he's willing to go to avoid you arresting him. It suddenly puts a little bit of fear in you. You're like, oh, this is no longer a game of footy on a footy field with guys my age. This is no longer kickboxing where I'm sparring with someone similar size to me. This is a real life interaction with someone who genuinely hates me. I'm in his own home territory. I don't know what's in his pockets, and it does, mate. It puts a lot of fear in you until you start to get your head around it, and you start to be able to read people and read offender behaviour, and you get pretty good at it. You can pick if someone's going to want to have a go pretty quick. But leading up to that, mate, there was a lot of mistakes, and I made a lot of bad calls. Trying to arrest people by myself, I had no business touching, and learnt the hard way, mate. But it was good. It was a good learning curve, that one. And then from there, mate, I remember my first dead body. It was a suicide, and yeah, mate. From there, it was just seemed to be one thing after another. Like, every week, every shift almost was its own adventure and its own chaos in itself. So it was pretty high impact first year, man. I think I had dozens of critical incidents in my first year alone, and then probably dozens of, like, traumatic sudden deaths on top of that as well that I was exposed to. So yeah, man, it was pretty full on couple of years in Toowoomba. Yeah.
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 And you were saying that, in that sort of 5 years in Toowoomba, the job started to affect you a little bit. So what does that look like for a, young 20-something-year-old? And then what do you do, man? What did you do, if anything?
I did nothing, man. Like, and that's what's crazy about it, is I didn't know anything about it. Like, and this is no negative to the coppers that I was mentored with at the time. No one spoke about mental health. No one spoke about PTSD or cumulative stress or acute stress from jobs you're exposed to. It was just like you just went to the next job and compartmentalized everything. And, like, I think compartmentalizing certain traumatic exposures, in particular at a time, like, say you're first on scene to a suicide, let's just call that, you're going to see some stuff that's going to shock you, and you've got to compartmentalize it to a degree because you owe it to that person's family, to the deceased. yell to your partner to have your shit squared away. Your emotions are controlled and you suppress them slightly so you can do your job, so you can be a reliable cop. But no one talks about when you get back in the car after that and you don't have to compartmentalize anymore. You're no longer in the view of the deceased family, media, the public. From there, man, that's where I never unpacked any of it. I just jammed it down and went to the next job. And that's what we were taught. Like, I remember, well, not taught, but that's what we were exposed to. Like, monkey see, monkey do. I knew no different. I remember after one particular job, it was after that young boy got run over by the truck. We get in the car to go home, and I'd just been standing on the road for several hours in the Toowoomba sun on the middle of the road. And my job at the time was to breath test the driver and then to keep the birds away from the young boy. So,
Oof.
mate, it was just, I was standing there and I was just like, what the hell am I doing this for? I'm pretty sure I didn't sign up to the job to be doing this. This is messed up. And then just tragic circumstances that led from that job. The boy's mum come out, she was heavily pregnant, went into labour in the front yard, had the baby the same day she lost her 2-year-old, man. Just like, I remember just thinking to myself, where the hell's all of this happened? Like, where's this world been from me growing up? I haven't seen any of this in my life. And now I'm seeing it like every other week. The old reticular activating system kicks in, man, and I start viewing the world as this super unsafe, hostile environment where at any second things can go wrong and people die. And so from there, man, just like hypervigilance, anxiety, bit of depression. I stopped training because I was just, my nervous system, man, looking back was just fried. Like I was just absolutely fried. So I threw away footy, threw away all my sport. When I'd go out and drink, I'd drink everything. When I'd go out and do other stuff, man, I was just a menace. Like I was getting in trouble, found myself in a bit of trouble during my service. I was just a mess, man. I didn't know how to process stress. I didn't know how to process trauma. And like I said, the people I worked with in Toowoomba, man, massive respect for them. But at that time, it was just the culture wasn't there to talk about anything, to process anything. And it was just, I didn't do anything to process it at the time. It caught up with me years later in Mount Isa as a dog handler. It was actually at the symposium where you and I first met Soggy there, and that's when he did his talk in the dog squad shed out the back, and that's when I had that massive slap across the face of reality and going, hey man, you're edging on this path, like you need to start getting your shit squared away, man. You start processing everything that's happened. So I had a young family at the time, I had a wife, and I was like, I don't want to take their life, their peace away from them just because I haven't been able to deal with my shit. I wasn't forced to be a cop. I chose to do this, and that's when Soggy taught me about, taking responsibility for yourself and taking ownership of your mindset. That's where it started, man. In short, to your question, I didn't deal with it until 2021. That's when I first had a wake-up call, and I was like, everything Soggy's talking about, I'm ticking every single same box he has. The crazy emotions that come out, the anger, the explosiveness, hypervigilance, how you view the world. Everyone in my eyes was just either A, out to get me, or we're going to die essentially. So that, how I viewed everything, man, it wasn't very healthy.
Yeah. And for everyone listening, Soggy, Sean O'Gorman, ex QPS dog handler. But it was on the Origin Canine podcast. Scroll down, he's one of the early ones. But yeah, no, that's epic, dude. I didn't realise, man, that we only started doing it then, 2021.
Yeah.
It's a funky thing to think about, like, because I went through the same thing years before, and there's probably people just going through it right now. It's a funny thing to watch the progression. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you get so good at masking it because that's what you do in the job. You mask everything. You hide how you're feeling because you don't want your partner seeing any sort of weakness or glitches. You don't want offenders seeing any sort of fear or any sort of hesitation in your voice or your eyes or your body language or anything. So you're hiding a lot of these feelings just to protect yourself, and then it's a learned behavior. Then it becomes a coping mechanism. I'll just hide it and I'll just fake it till I make it, and hopefully no one calls me out of my shit. And I met Sean, and he just essentially, not personally, but in that talk, called me out on my shit, and I was like, "Fuck, I've got some shit to do now. I got to work on some stuff."
Yeah.
And at the time, man, I'd just done my knee, so I'd got knee reco. I just spent the best part of 4 months, man, sitting on my couch doing physio and rehab, no work, next to no training. Stuck in my house every day. The kids would go off to school, missus would go to work. I'm just sitting on the couch until they'd get home, and that was my life, man. And like, depression kicks in pretty quick in that point. And like, never been a guy to get super depressed, but at that time, man, I was like in pretty shit way, pretty shit mindset. But no one around me knew. Like, I don't even think my wife knew, but like, my OIC at the time, Chris, who I'm great mates with, he wouldn't have known. None of my mates would have known. Like, you just mask everything. And then when I went down there with that mindset, trying to act like I'm totally fine, there's nothing wrong with me. I'm faking that my knees heats better so I can get back to work quicker, which it wasn't. And then Soggy goes and has that chat, and I'm like, that's exactly where I'm right now. Like, everything he's saying is what I'm doing right now in this seat in that shed. I was looking around. I guarantee probably, let's say, I guarantee 95% of people in that room probably had the same reaction. I reckon. No one would have said it. No one would have, well, not no one. I'm sure people said it, but I reckon most people would have gone, fuck, that's me. And I hope they've taken the similar approach and started working on stuff. I hope.
Yeah. Some of the guys, 100%, man. I remember because I was in that same room, and I remember because I'd heard his talks and stuff before, and I was looking around and I was like, I was a bit like, oh, well, these aren't my dudes. I'm just going to fucking sit here and fold my arms like everyone else. But yeah, you can see it in dudes' faces, man. They're just like, fuck.
Yeah.
I didn't realise till this moment that this is where I am. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And and that's like you were saying before, like about the culture, I guess, is just to get back in the car and do the next one. You need a Soggy, or you need a Joel to pass that on.
Man.
And that's why, like, I mean, you're doing it right now. You know what I mean? You don't have to go on Zero Limits and write a book or whatever. Like, you just
yeah, exactly. It's just sharing your story, man, and just putting yourself out there to go, you're not alone. Like, I don't class myself as a crazy, heavy-hitting, hard-ass copper, but I definitely work at a pretty fast pace. Like, I enjoy my job, and I like to think I'm all right at it. And I've caught some pretty serious crooks in my time, and for someone to turn around that's, got a bit of street cred behind them to say, I don't want to sound arrogant, but for someone to stand up and say, hey guys, I'm an experienced cop, this is what I think and feel, and I did for years, I think it sort of changes how people feel. It's just putting yourself out there, being vulnerable for a couple of minutes and sharing your story. And I'm only just beginning that path of mine now, mate, but already I'm like, I can see the impact of it, and people open up to you that you would never have expected to. And it's cool, man. It lights me up. I'm like, if I can just help a couple of people, happy days. That's what I want to do.
Yeah, and you said something before, right, about you've got to compartmentalize these things in the moment. Bad jobs, whatever. Get back in the car, straight to the next one. And like you said, it's got a purpose. It's got a function. There's nothing wrong with that. You've got to do it in the moment, because you can't work up to that job and be like, when I was a kid, then this is what happened. You're like just sitting there crying or something. You've got to do it, right? But like you were sort of talking about with the stuff you're doing now, for example, which I'll ask you a bit about at the end. You don't have to be sitting around crying all the time and telling a sad story. You just let a bit of it out, go and process a bit, then just go and do the next thing.
Yeah. Just acknowledging it, man. Like just acknowledging the fact that job was freaking crazy, man. That was messed up. Like, some of the things we'd have seen, who would have thought we were seeing that today? And it's all right to get in the car I've gotten in the car after a few jobs, suicides in particular, and I feel really frustrated. I'm like, I'm seeing the damage that comes from it, with the partner being told, the deceased children being told, and I'm just like, man, if this guy just had like an extra 2 minutes to see the impact of it now, I bet he wouldn't have made that call. And that's hard, man. Like I've never been in that position. I've never had suicidal thoughts or feelings of self-harm or nothing like that. Definitely lost a bit of respect for myself and a bit of recklessness, and lost sort of value in my life, but never wanted to kill myself. But I think if to be in that position, man, and it's yeah, and then seeing the effects from it, I just wish people in that moment understood the impact of what the decision they're about to make. And that brings anger out in me. It makes me just upset. I'm like, why do they do that? But again, I can't put myself in that position because I don't know what that feeling is. So it's just, some people could get sad from that. Black humor kicks in, man, and people might laugh at some crazy shit. They might see something really messed up and they could laugh at it. And it's all right to get back in the car and have a joke between your colleague. And like, it's not a disrespectful thing. It's just, it's the first stage of you putting your guard down, putting your RoboCop version of you down and being human again, and just understanding that this is the first step of you processing that. I think that's the biggest thing, man. People ignore that stage, and I think that's something pretty big. I think should be spoken about, because that's step one, right?
Yeah,
Step
yeah,
one, get back
100%,
in the
man.
car.
Yeah. Hey, dude. So obviously, already at this stage, got some heavy stuff going on. But between then and then your 2021 sort of eye opening, talk me through Brett Fort, mate. So, because I'm not all over that what was going on there. You guys were looking for someone specific.
Yeah.
I just kind of know what happened at the end, and I know that the guy ended up getting nabbed by the cops.
Yeah.
Well, not nabbed, but
Yeah. Well, yeah. The incident was finalised. But yeah, mate, it's I wasn't there on the day. My team was. The team I was in at the time were working that day, so if I wasn't on leave with my youngest boy being born, I would have been on shift for it. I was on the same shift as those guys, and so I can't really speak about what happened on the day because I wasn't there, but I can speak about how I felt, where I was at the time when it all kicked off, leading into it as well. So I was general duties at the time in Toowoomba, but I was upstairs relieving in property crime. I was floating around a little. I was a bit of like a utility player. I did a little bit of property crime squad, which is when you're out doing break and enters, stolen cars, hunting that sort of like middle end crook that's out running drugs and guns and stuff like that. So I was doing a bit of that and a little bit of push bike squads. Man, one of my best mates down there, we kicked off this little like proactive push bike unit. Yeah, I know, Jump Street, right? Man, it was the best. Yeah. It was the absolute best. Like
pogo sticks.
Yeah, we were way better than that. But we're like, man, it was mad. We had some hell times together, just out hunting every day. We weren't being harassed by the radio. We could just go out. He was very proactive as well, and we just went out and hunted every day together. It was awesome. So, long story short, I was bouncing around between those two units. I'd sort of stepped away from general duties a little bit at the time and was floating around there. And leading into that time, mid to late May, we were hunting for a wanted person called Rick Madison. Pretty renowned crook in that Darling Downs district. Everyone knew him he was just a classic sort of, I don't even know if you really call him a black. He was associates with him. It was just a shitbag, man. It's all he was. It was just a shitbag. Bit of a standover man, bit of a tough guy around town. Everyone seemed to know him. And he was wanted for some pretty serious offences. So we were hunting him for a couple of weeks, I'd say. We'd get a few tip-offs here and there and act on them. Like we'd get info from the public that one particular I remember, he was in a pokey room at a hotel in Toowoomba. So you'd go in there, you'd cut your exits off, and then you go through and search it. And every time, man, we were just like, a minute or two behind him. We'd just miss him. So it was getting pretty frustrating for the guys hunting him. And Brett's unit at the time, Toowoomba TAC Crime Squad, were sort of responsible for his apprehension. So they were working on the case, trying to gather intel, do their sort of investigative strategies to lock him down at a location. And then I've gone off work 22nd of May. So I tapped out work on the 20th or 21st of May. I can't quite remember. A couple of days before my boy was born. Wife was induced, had a cesarean. He was born on the 22nd. And exactly a week later, mate, that's when we were asleep on the couch. All three of us having a nap. Kyle was on me laying down, and my neighbour was a cop, and he banging on the fly screen, like the front door, like super, super loud banging. I was like, shit, am I getting run in on? What's this noise? What's happening? So I freak out, give Kai to the partner, sort of go and have a bit of a peek around the corner to see who's at the front door, and it's my neighbour. He's a cop, and he's like, 40's just been killed. He's just been shot. And I was like, what? And he goes, yeah, Rick Madison just killed him. And I remember that, man. I was just like standing there and just woken up, had my newborn on my chest, and now they're telling me that the guy we were hunting only like a number of days ago has just killed one of my mates from work. And I just remember just being frozen. I don't know what he said after that, what my mate told me. I don't remember anything for like a good 10, 20 minutes until I sort of got my senses back together. But that moment changed the trajectory on how I look at policing and understood the gravity of this job. Like it's not a game. It's, even though it's fun, it's exciting. You get adrenaline rushes, and hunting the better crooks can be quite intense and fun and addictive. That feeling of the chase, but that moment, man, changed everything. Like on one side of me, I've got newborn and my wife. The other side is my colleague I'm in the same team with telling me that 40's just been murdered. I'm like, fuck, this is real. Like, this job's real. And there's real consequences. There can be grave consequences to our job. So it changed everything, man. And it changed, like, I remember I was calling everyone. I was trying to get into work that day, and everything was just, that station was just locked down. You couldn't get in or out of it. It was just, there was just chaos everywhere. And like, looking back, who am I to walk in and be like, yeah, I'm here to fucking help save the day? Like, I was a useless Connie, mate. I was just someone they'd put on a door. I was just someone they'd be like, hey, go clear this bedroom at a house. Like, I was nobody at the time, but I just wanted to be there. I just wanted to somehow do something to contribute to help everyone at the job and help people. And looking back, man, it was a massive pivotal point in my career that just changed the trajectory of everything. From that point on, man, I never thought of policing the same. I was like, all right, I've got to learn everything I can. I've got to get fitter, stronger, smarter. I've got to become a better cop. My tactics have got to get better. I'm going to give myself every chance to make sure that my family can have me post my career, that I can go out of this job on my terms. I don't want that to happen to me. Because at the funeral, man, I remember the guard of honor watching Susie walking behind that car, man. Like, watching her at the funeral with her kids, so I was like, fuck that. That's heartbreaking, man. I don't ever want my family to experience that. So it was heavy hitting, man. And seeing everyone in the district at the time going through that same process, it shook that place, man. It really shook it.
Yeah. Was it a catalyst for any sort of change? Like, obviously your mindset's changed a bit, but
Yeah.
was there any sort of catalyst for change in the workplace at all, or
It followed with
vests
years
or
to
anything
come.
like that?
Yeah, it did follow with years to come. Like any government
Slow beast, eh?
organisation, it's like nothing happens quick.
Yeah.
With vests, there comes, like, we all had ballistic vests, but no one wore them at every single job all day long at work. It was only if you get a call for a job where firearms were considered, or if someone had intel for guns, or you go into any sort of serious gun job, you'd throw it on. But yeah, nothing changed immediately that I saw anyone on my level of policing. I'm sure there was stuff higher up, I know there was some coronials that followed it. Some outcomes come from that. I know Toowoomba's now got full-time DDOs, which is great. I think every district should have DDOs, which is a district duty officer, which is like a senior sergeant that's essentially in charge of everything that happens on the road. So there were things that come from it. Everyone got issued some ballistic vests, like to wear full-time. So yeah, there were things that come from it, but the classic government thing, man, it's like they got to put a project together. They got to test equipment. They've got to find money to buy it. They've got to order it, buy it, distribute it. That stuff takes months and years to do. So yeah, it was yeah, man. That particular job is up there with some of the most impactful things I've had in my career. And I wasn't there. I'll never claim to be there or be any significant part of that job. I just remember what changed that moment when I had that banging on the door and heard those words. I remember my mindset just changed. It's never gone back to that point since. It's always just been forward. What else can I do to get better? What else can I learn? Can I get fitter, stronger, tactics, shooting? Is my kit up to speed? All that sort of stuff. I just took it far more serious now.
Yeah.
So,
And is that when you decided you were definitely going to go doggies? Like, when did you have a crack at doggies?
I'd already decided before that, man. I think I went all in on the dogs in 2015. That's when I was like all in on the dogs. So I'd been fostering at this point. I bought a couple of puppies, shepherds and males, developed them, sold them. I was all in on the dogs already at this point.
Yeah.
But it just solidified that decision in my head of like, I want to be a guy that can be at these jobs, that can help, that can have expertise, that I can inject on each job to make it A, better outcome, and B, make it safer for everyone at that job. That was the biggest thing for me, is like, I want to be the guy that can have an impact so everyone can A, get home, and B, we catch the crew.
Yeah. And what about so the obviously the resolution in with Rick Madison, that was his name, Rick Madison?
Yeah.
He ended up getting shot in a siege, right, by Cert.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
And what's that like, man? Does that give you a bit of a closure personally? Like, is there a sense of justice, or are you just like, yeah, whatever, man, it doesn't change?
Oh, look, there's two sides of it. Like, there's a whole justice is served thing. Like, like knowing what I know of the job, and which isn't everything, I don't think he intended on getting out of that job any other way. Personally, that's not information I've been privy to. That's just my opinion on it. I don't think he had any other intentions on getting out of that job. Like, there's footage of him that's in the media, right? I'm not leaking any information here. All of this stuff is accessible in the media. There's footage of him doing some pretty crazy stuff, man. Like, he was shooting his gun, he was carrying on, he was not mucking around, and there was no second guessing what was going to happen if he could get his eyes on another cop. He had intentions to go out of that one way only. That's my opinion. Not opinion of a Queensland Police Service, nothing. That's just my opinion of Joel.
Relax, Joel. It's all right. They're not listening. They are. They're definitely listening.
They're definitely listening.
Social media team. Yeah. And look, man, I don't know anything about it, but I can imagine the same thing, right? You don't just kill a cop and then be like, all right, I'll give up. Sorry,
man. Like, and then you go, it'd be good to have an outcome where he can be sentenced and serve some sort of punishment for it. But then you look at it and you're like, either way, there's pros and cons. It's like, it doesn't change the outcome of Brett. It doesn't change the outcome for Susie and her kids. It doesn't change the outcome for Darling Downs districts. It's same as court outcomes, man. I don't give two shits about them. I don't. I don't check what punishments come from out of court. I catch the dude, I hand him over to Cruz, and I'm on to the next one. I'm like, that's my impact is on the road, on the street, my boots on the ground. That's it. I'm not an investigator. My paperwork sucks. I always suck at it. My job is to be out there catching these guys as safe as possible, and that's all I care about. So the outcome, man, it's like, to be honest, I've never really thought about it until you just brought it up. So yeah, it doesn't really change my thinking. I'm also just have the impact of it for me is Brett's passing and the impact it had on Susie, her family, and the police. That's all I care about.
Yeah.
This might sound real callous. I guess it is. I don't really care about him, the offender. Don't care. Yeah,
I mean,
when you do something like that, I don't care. So
yeah, well, why would you? And at the end of the day, man, you guys just react to what they do.
Yeah.
You know, no one went to his house, shot him in the face when he opened the door.
Yeah,
like
we're not executing him for no reason. Like there's a threat, we react to it. If it means lethal force in order to protect our life or someone else's life, cops are going to do it, man. That's why we wear firearms. That's why we have CERT. That's why we have specialist units with a little bit more Gucci kit, because there's people out there that will do that to you. So we need to be prepared for it.
Mate, like you were saying earlier in the podcast, you know, you sort of like standing there at that job and you're like, man, I'd never seen this world before until now. How did I not know this existed? Mate, even me in my little world, like I've got a heap of mates that are cops. You know, I've been in the military. You know, my partner's in the cops. I still have what my missus would tell me about the most mundane fucking job in the world, and I'll be like, whoa, that'd be so exciting. You know, I wish I was there. But I got no idea about that stuff. And then at the same time, you talk about, you know, CERT goes out, serves his warrant on this guy, he ends up getting killed. I'm sure people would be outraged, but they also don't know the reality of what you guys fucking do day in, day out, every day.
100%.
Mate, 100%. It's crazy, dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And if that guy had have broken cordon and slipped through CERT on that day, there 100% would have been more lives lost. There'd be more bloodshed. It's sometimes protecting and serving the community is really ugly. And that's the reality of policing. It gets ugly. It gets violent. It gets messy. People can get hurt. But, sometimes some force requires more force to stop it. And that's what happened that day.
Yep, 100%, man.
That's the way it is.
Hey, look, man, I want to close out the that case, but I want to quickly hear about the dog squad, man, because we're gonna finish a bit heavy, dude. So I want to hear a bit about the dog squad, which is obviously going to take us up to Townsville and then back, man. Bro, if you just don't mind outlining dogs until whatever point, mate.
For sure. So from 2015 to 2018, I was fostering, pretty much sold my left nut to get in the dog squad. It was just everything I could to get in, I was doing it. I was obsessed on it. Become a lifestyle to the point I even went and bought a car, set up a cage in the back to be able to transport my foster puppies back and forth, right? I was a proper Keith for it. I just loved it. Right?
You're like your own little police dog car.
Yeah, proper. Even the same
I know
brand.
I know someone else that still does that.
He's got a new car.
His name rhymes with Sean O'Gorman.
Yeah, well, yeah. His car was way better than mine. I just had a shitty ass Triton. But yeah, man. So I was just busting ass to get in. Luckily enough, managed to do enough to get a job. Like won a job, got Mount Isa. Funny enough is when I put in the options were at the time was Brisbane, Mackay, Moreton, so Caboolture and Mount Isa. And I was like, everyone's going to be going for Brisbane and Caboolture. I'm going to be that idiot that throws in and goes, I want Mount Isa, to try and fast track my way in. And it must have worked because I interviewed like shit. And I was just like, this isn't me, guys. Can I just show you that I'm someone you might want? So anyways, managed to get a job, took my option at Mount Isa, moved up there 2018. So went through a 12 or 14 week general purpose dog handler course. First dog I was paired with, Fury, didn't make the cut. At week 9 or 10, I got Gilly, who was our reserve dog. Managed to get him up to speed pretty quick. We passed, qualified as a dog team. Gilly was like a 40 kilo German Shepherd, massive block head on him. He had a long coat. He was absolutely beautiful dog. So we did our mentor down in Brisbane and Ipswich with some dog handlers there. Then got shipped up to Mount Isa, took the family up. Court was pregnant at the time, so we had our oldest boy, Kai, pregnant with Ollie at the time. Moved up to Mount Isa. And the first 12 months, man, nothing crazy really happened. It was just, I was more so finding my feet of now falling into this new role. Who am I as a dog handler? Exposing myself to as much operational jobs as I possibly could with my dog, trying to get him humming along operationally, catching people, doing his job. We had a slow start in Toowoomba. I didn't get my first tracking location for probably, let's say, 3 or 4 months. And our first one was maybe 50 meters long with one corner. Like, I've tracked down a street, dogs turn right, gone up another 20 meters, and there's old mate sitting down next to a tree. So that was my first one. Real basic, uneventful. Got to the end and I was like, is that it? Like, he's
Sorry, did
just
you
sitting
say
there.
tracking location or track and location? So you do a
Track
track
and
and find the
location.
guy.
So track to a location, like tracking and locating someone. I'd
Gotcha.
had heaps
Yeah.
of tracks beforehand and just caught no one.
Yep. Okay.
And like, to my defense, man, Mount Isa's a pretty shit place to track a police dog. Like, it's dry, it's dusty, it's hot. There's people everywhere, all times of the night. It's a really dirty environment. There's loose dogs. It's an absolute nightmare to track a police dog in. So being brand new handler coming up here the first time, it took me so much longer than the other boys on course with me to get to that point of finding someone. Finally did it, and I was like, is that it? Like, that wasn't very cool. Old mate's just sitting there. He's like, yeah, you got me. And I didn't have to really challenge him. The dog's losing his shit. And I was like, oh, well, I guess that's it. So then I put the dog away and go to the next job. And from there, the dog started to get more exposure. He built up that operational sort of desire to be out there doing his job, which took time for him because he's a really young, immature dog. So then over the next 12 months, we started locating a few more. And the dog proved himself operationally. He proved he could protect me. Found a few guys that were quite violent and were trying to have a bit of a fight with me or trying to flee. And so the dog had some opportunities to have apprehensions, which he was successful. So he did his job in both senses now, tracking and apprehending. He was proving his worth to me, and I ran Gilly, I think it was until 2023 or 2024. No, yeah, it's 2023. And Gilly started, I'm noticing his back legs were starting to get real skinny, and he'd be dragging his back toenails when he'd get fatigued.
Ooh.
And then the old arthritis question come in. So I went and got him some x-rays and scans and all that sort of stuff. And I can't remember the exact name of the disease. It was some nerve degenerative disease. So essentially his back end was just wasting away. So we tried medicating it, tried fixing it, like steroids, different injections to help build his joints back up, his cartilage and stuff. Nothing was working. So made the call to medically retire him in 23. I then, because it wasn't like something that was acute, like he has to stop working today, I could manage it with a bit of pain relief. And these steroid injections were getting him some time. So I still had about 6 to 8 months up my sleeve. So I got a young dog called Buzz, black German Shepherd, and polar opposite dog to Gilly. He was 25 kilos, black,
Tiny.
had the attitude of Satan, man. He was just like full on. Gilly was like the safest dog to be around, man. Like, I could have friends over and Gilly was cool with them. Buzz, I was like, no one is going near this dog except me, because I couldn't trust him, man. Like, I got scars all over me from that dog. He was hectic. And a completely different type of tracking dog. Gilly was a hunter, so he was very free flowing, head up sort of behavior in his tracking. He loved fresh hunts. Buzz was like sort of like a sport dog, just not as boring. Like, he still had some go in him, but he was very methodical. His nose to the pavement like a vacuum man. That's how he tracked. So a completely different dog to handle. Got him trained up, qualified him as a police dog, ran him. Unfortunately, I started pretty quickly when we went operational and the tempo picked up. I started noticing the pads of his feet were running down to the point where they'd be bleeding. He was losing hair. His skin was all yuck. And we later found, then I moved to Townsville in early 24, January 24. When I moved to Townsville, Buzz fully recovered in like a week. His feet were fine. His coat was shiny and healthy and glossy again. Skin was fine. And I was like, okay, that was a bit weird. Didn't really think anything else of it. Did a couple of months in Townsville, and then we'll get to it later, but I've then moved back to Mount Isa with Buzz, and the same thing happened again. I was like, oh, his feet are going all weird again. And to the point now where it got to the point where after 6 months or so, I couldn't even track him more than like 200, 300, 400 meters without his feet bleeding. And he was just getting angry at me because he was in pain. And so we started researching it, and we couldn't figure out why, apart from a potential allergic. He's allergic to something in Mount Isa, the conditions, the environment, something in my yard. We couldn't figure it out. So made the call then, which sucked because I'd worked so hard on this dog to get him to a point where when he was on, he was killing it. Like, he was so successful. And some of the tracks we had, kilometers long, man, up the middle of the road, tracking dudes that are full blown sprinting away from us. And he just made me look like a jet. And looking back, I was like, I did nothing but sit on the end of that lead, and that dog was just an absolute
Just dragging you around.
Stud, man. Yeah, a stud. So caught everyone. He had all the venom in the world. There was never a doubt he was going to protect me. Like, he was a really strong dog. So making the call to send him back to Brisbane to reteam somewhere else to see if it was allergic reaction or not. It got to the point where I couldn't do my job anymore up here. The skin issues were that bad, I couldn't work him, and it was becoming a little bit cruel. So I went, I gotta send him back and try again, and that's when I got my current dog, Disco. He's a male cross shepherd, heavy on the male. You wouldn't guess he's crossed with anything, and he's just a jet. He's awesome. He's like a good blend between Disco and Buzz. Real good blend of the two. He's big, strong, fit, athletic dog. Like, loyal as, super protective of me, but also super social. He's got a really good off switch. He's a stud, man. I love him. So, and in that time as well, I was dual handling for a bit, had a detection dog as well as GP dog, which was just chaotic, man. I hated it. It was just too much.
Yeah,
like,
dude.
The detection stuff was cool. Like, I don't hate that job. It was actually really fun to train and work a dog to find. So a dog was training drugs, cash, and firearms, and it was pretty fun, man. It was a nice, like, contrast to GP world. It was low stress. It was all fun, exciting stuff for the dog. I actually really enjoyed it. But doing both of those roles conflicted with each other. One required me to be working at night. The other one was all daytime stuff. I was dual handling, so I was doing both roles at the same time. It just cooked me, man. It was way too much. Cooked me, taking me away from my family too much. So I waved goodbye to it. Said it's either dual handling or me, and service backed me, man. Which, credit to him. So we shut that program down and back to normal, just general purpose dog handling now, which is that's where we are now. And then in that time as well, moving back to Mount Isa in 24. In 25, my OSC at the time moved on. I applied for his spot as sergeant officer in charge, and luckily enough to win it. Helps when you're the only applicant.
Default.
Like, whatever. Yeah, literally. Yeah. So yeah, here we are.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, hectic, man. Eh? And dude, what was your detection dog's name?
Hope. You shared a video of it once.
Yeah. That's because that's
Black
what I
and
was
tan
thinking. I was
shepherd.
like, yeah. It was inside like a shed or something, and she found a fucking
found a heap of gear in that one. Yeah. So
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Nah, she was a good dog, man. Like just quietly, she would have been a good GP dog. She had it all there. Yeah, I'd seen it plenty of times from her. Yeah. There's nothing stopping her being general purpose dog. Yeah, she's a weapon.
Yeah, it's a shame, eh? Because like you said, it's almost cathartic, maybe doing the detection stuff versus the GP. You know, a bit less.
It is, man. Frantic. It's fun. You get to
still
sit
helping
back.
people as well. You know.
Yeah, but you just sit back and watch the dog work independently because it's all off lead inside the house. So you just isolate rooms you want the dog to search. It goes through. It'll either give you a change of behaviour or indicate on it, and you got to it's that problem solving, putting the piece of the puzzle together. Your dog might be indicating on a wall or a light switch, but the drugs aren't just right in front of its nose. You got to figure out where that odor is coming from and where the odor is being exposed to the dog. Piecing all together, it might be drugs are in the roof, but he's indicating on a light switch. So it's pretty fun. I enjoyed the piecing it all together part of it. That was fun.
Yeah, it uses your intellect a bit. Not
Yeah,
that
yeah.
tracking doesn't, but different
It's just
different sort of
fast
way.
paced, man. Like GP works all about in the moment, make a decision now, move on, and it's like fast paced, bit more high risk. There's a lot more pressure on you. And you're hunting a person who's trying to get away. Drugs, guns, cash, they don't run away from you. They're hidden, but once they're hidden, it's like they're not going anywhere. Take your time, slow things down and find it. GP, it's all about hurry up and get there. Let's close this gap. So
Yeah.
it's different, completely different type of work, man. Two different mindsets as well to be able to do each job.
And how come I'm just trying to piece together the sequence of cause and effect here. So how come you moved to Townsville? Was that just a new posting?
Yeah, man. We'd been in Isa. How many years is that? 18 to 24, close to 6 years,
Yep.
5 years. And we were like, I'd done everything I wanted there, had some epic dog jobs, both dog jobs and jobs outside the dog squad as well. Had some real heavy jobs, sieges, got shot at, interestingly enough, a couple of times at a siege. Some pretty heavy hitting murders that I was involved in, got to catch a few of them, which was sort of a highlight of my career as well. And I was like, I think I've achieved everything here. My family's at a point now where I'd like to move them on to greener pastures, give them a bit more lifestyle. So, and Townsville, man, this point, we're now growing our family to a family of 5, 3 boys. We're mad into our fishing and adventuring lifestyle, being outdoors, and fishing is like a massive part of our life and on our days off. So I thought Townsville's got an opening coming up. I know the fishing's pretty good there. The work's always busy in Townsville. Like, just go on social media and Google Townsville. Like, you'll see what I mean. It's busy enough. So I was like, ticks all the boxes. It's a bigger squad. Get more exposure, a few different things. Yeah, let's do it. So put in a transfer, got accepted, and yeah, man, just jumped ship. Like, it was the same, but different. Townsville, Mount Isa, like two little sister districts to each other. Same crooks, man, literally. I went from like the actual same crooks. First week in Townsville, my first tracking locate was a kid from Mount Isa, and they're sitting at the end, they're like, "What the fuck are you doing here, Joel?" And I'm like, "What are you doing here? Like, are you serious?" And it's like, we're having a bit of a laugh, waiting for Chris to come in and take him to the watch house. We're like both surprised that we'd seen each other, like caught each other off guard. We're like, it's like we both busted each other.
Yeah.
It was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
no, interesting, man.
yeah, and just run into the same people just in a bigger town. It was similar work, more property crime in Townsville, more stolen cars, more robberies, way less domestic violence exposure. Mount Isa's got a lot of domestic violence exposure for us to track respondents and offenders that have just harmed partners and whatnot. So that's our core duty here. Townsville's core was property crime. So hunting stolen cars, tracking them from cars, breaks, robberies.
Yeah. And for the purpose of the listener as well, like we're obviously keeping some of these stories vague, because you're still in the QPS, so you're obviously still bound to their social media policy, etc. So I'm not going to ask for any crazy detailed stories. I'll be respectful because you are still in the middle of your career.
Yeah, thanks, bro. I appreciate that.
No, right,
but
man.
the dogs have been successful, man. The QPS breeds, the Brisbane breeds pretty good dogs, man. Like, these things come out of the box pretty good for us, and you just put in the work and they're really good tools. Like, I've never really had a dog that I regretted having. They've all been exceptional in their own way, but it comes with, like, man, countless. I'd hate to know how many hours I put into my dog to get him to that point. Like, it takes so much work to get him there. So people won't understand. If you're not a dog handler, you just won't get it.
Yeah.
You won't get
it.
it.
I crunched the numbers once, and it might be the same or different to yours, but when I was developing dogs a few years ago, around about that 2020, 2021 sort of time, I think I trained this dog for about 18 months, and I think I put something like 600 or 700 hours into training this
Yeah,
dog. Like
man.
it can
Yeah.
almost be a full-time job. And,
Yeah.
for a vendor like I was back then, you're not making
No.
120 grand. You're making like
No.
10, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then you're going to pay
Yeah.
GST. You probably had three or
Yeah.
four $1,500 vet bills in there,
Yeah. Yeah.
plus your time, dog food. Yeah. Like you're
Yeah.
not,
No, it's
it's,
not. It's not
yeah.
there. Unless you're turning over
You've got to
bulk
be,
dogs.
yeah. And you've probably, to do that, like you said, you've got to have a really good business model, which I don't think is that possible. Or
Yeah.
you've got to be in the job being paid by QPS to do it.
Yeah.
And then getting out on the road with them.
Yeah. Well, the Americans are good, man. They got dudes over that do it full time, and
Oh, they're
they've
sick
got the
for it, man.
market for it. Like there's so much more over there. It's its own market itself, providing dogs to police agencies. Like in Australia, you just fucking you're not gonna. I don't know. I don't think I would never go and explore that option. I just don't think it'd even be worth it.
Nah. It's funny you mentioned the States, right? Like, I've got a heap of mates in the States. And I've been doing business for like 6-7 years now, right? And it's a slog, dude. Right? It takes a lot of effort.
Yeah.
And sometimes I look at my mates in the States and they're like, oh, I've started some fucking dog business. And I'm like, oh, cool story. 6 months later, he's got like a 20-dog kennel, some massive property. And I'm like, what the fuck, bro? Like, should I move to the US? You got every fucking business I see over there just explodes.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I
what's
went to
going on?
AT Canine with the boys last year, and that was eye opening. Hey, like the level of professionalism and money they put into their craft, man. We don't come close to it. They're just weapons.
Oh, it's an
Absolute
industry, dude.
weapons. Yeah.
Yeah. They've just fucking mechanized it, man. It's crazy.
Yeah.
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 Dude, let's hit me with going from Townsville to Mount Isa, man. Back to Mount Isa.
Yeah.
Let's go through that.
All right, man. So, while we're in Townsville, life was great, man. Between January and April, we were just living out exactly why we wanted to move there. We were fishing every lot of days off, enjoying things there. We found a good footy club for the kids, which was awesome. Had an awesome house, living in a great neighborhood. Just the simple things in life again, going to family markets, farmers markets, and just the shit you probably take for granted every day. Going from Mount Isa to that, it was like the best ever. So we were in a really happy, peaceful time of our life where things were going right, and we were really excited about where we were living and the future there. And then April 24, what was it? 21st of April. Kids go to school. That weekend, I was on days off. That weekend, we'd just been fishing. On that Saturday, went to the movies and stuff Sunday. Ate our fish for lunch that we had. It was a normal, everyday weekend, all right? There was nothing that, looking back, that we picked up on. And Ollie come home from school on the 21st, and he just said he felt a bit flat, felt a bit tired, had a mild temp. We just had I'd had gastro a week before, and the other kids had picked it up as well. So we thought, he might be picking up a gastro again. So I gave him some Nurofen and stuff. He went to sleep on the couch, watched a movie. Woke up from that. His temp was gone. Had some dinner, had a spew, and we just put it down to, he's just got his tummy bug. So he went to bed totally fine. His temp never come back. Slept through the night. I had a special that night, 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. to get some bit extra money because of the property crime stuff. They needed dogs on the road. So they were offering overtime for it. So I went out, did some overtime, come in at 2A, checked Ollie. He was asleep on a mattress in our room. And he was fine. No temp. He looked fine. He was sleeping peaceful. And I was like, yeah, cool. He'll wake up in the morning and be all right. So morning comes around, get up about 7-ish with the family. They all go off to school and work. Ollie stays at home with me. We thought he can have the day at home. I was due to start work again at 4 p.m. I think, on a training shift on that day. And Ollie was fine. He was up. He didn't have breakfast because he said he wasn't really hungry. He said he just had a bit of a pain in the tummy. and he was out watching a movie, and I was just sort of laying around next to him. Just done overtime, so I was a bit drowsy, having coffee and stuff, and then he said he wanted to go and lay down in bed and have a sleep again. So I went and laid down with him. He had a nap, and I was just laying with him, and this is about 9:30ish now, 10 o'clock maybe. And I noticed he started breathing a little different, like shorter breaths and a little bit quicker. And in that same time, he started having, without the fever, started having a few little fever dreams. He kept saying he was fully alert, looking at me, talking, but he's saying there was a shark that was chasing him, and he was trying to get out of bed to run. So I was like, "It's all right, bud. You're having a nightmare." I was trying to calm him down and settle him, and then I started seeing that he wasn't coming out of it. He was quite delirious. He was breathing rapid, and he was starting to get really thirsty. I thought, oh, something's off here. Like my instincts kicking in. This isn't right. So I've got up, started to get myself and him dressed to take him to the hospital. And this never happens, but my wife just comes home. She just come home to heat her lunch up and eat lunch at home, knowing that me and Ollie were there. So she comes in for an early lunch at about maybe 10:30ish, 10 o'clock. Walks in, sees me getting him ready. And she must have just seen a little bit of like shock on my face or something. She's picked up and I told her, got her to have a look at Ollie, and she's like, yeah, let's take him up to emergency. And he started saying the lower right area of his tummy was starting to hurt a bit more. Like the pain had moved from his tummy with feeling sick down to his lower right area. So I thought maybe it's his appendix and he's got an infection from that. So we take him up to ED. In that short drive to ED, man, it was only a 15-minute drive, but the last 5 minutes, he started to crash pretty hard. Like he was sitting in his car seat, and Court was driving at the time. She was just going to dump me at the front of emergency and then go back to work, and I was going to let her know how the outcome of it. So we didn't really think too much of it, but he started to get a little bit cross-eyed, and he was trying to, you could see him having to really work to hold his head up to look at me in his car seat. And I started to get a little bit concerned at this point. Get to ED. I let Court know. I was like, hey, you go back to work. There's no point both of us sitting here. I'll call you if it's anything. I'm sure it's fine. He's probably just going to get his appendix taken out. I'll let you know how we go. Take him in. He's adamant he wants to walk in. He's just like, put me down. I want to walk. And I'm like, nah, man, you don't have energy, Ollie. You're like, I'm going to carry you in. And he's cracking the shits at me and walk him in. I remember his face just looking at me. I'm like, this kid. So I just walk him in and take him up to the counter at ED in Townsville Uni Hospital. And the nurse, like, we're telling the nurse what the story is. And she goes, oh, can you show me his tummy? Lift his shirt up. And when we'd gotten dressed at home, he had no shirt on. His tummy looked fine. When he lifted up, it was purple and blotchy. And there was like this purple blotchy pattern all over his stomach. And she's like, oh, I'll meet you at the door now. Come straight through. So I walk in and my heart's sinking now. Like my heart's racing. It's pounding. And like, I'm starting to understand now it's not great. And I'm still thinking, okay, his appendix is burst. They're probably going to rush him in for surgery to take it out and clean him up. Go in, they take us straight to the resus bay, lay him down, and within about 10 seconds of being there, the room fills up with doctors from PEDS, PICU doctors, everyone. Like every available doctor was running down there. And they obviously knew he had all the symptoms of sepsis. I didn't know at that time. So the doctors come over. There was one particular doctor, Dr. Anna, who's an absolute saint. Like she is hands down one of the best, not even doctors, just people I've met in the world. She's unreal. And she comes over and she says, hey, I know you're stressed. I know you're worrying. He's in the best possible hands here. We're going to do everything we can to look after him, but you need to just stand at the end of his bed. We need room here. So because I was holding his hand, he didn't want to let go of me. He's obviously petrified. So I stand at the end of the bed. They're testing everything. They give him some sugar, get his bloods back up. And then he starts to come back a little bit. He's starting to be able to talk to me a bit more. He just keeps asking for me. He just keeps saying, Dad, Dad, Dad. And just wanted me to hold his hand. So Dr. Anna said, hey, look, yeah, go up and hold his hand. And she said, as I've gone to walk up, she said, we're going to induce him into a coma. he has an infection. It's sepsis. It's leaked into his blood. This is life-threatening. And I just remember standing there at that time looking at him like my kid, my little 5-year-old boy is laying on this bed and the doctor's telling me it's life-threatening and they're going to induce him into a coma. And he has no idea what all this means. He just wants me to hold his hand. And like, to backtrack it a little bit, like the early stages of me becoming a dad in 2017 to 21 when I met Sog, I wasn't a great person and made a lot of mistakes as a dad and a husband. And him sitting there just asking for me in a time where he wouldn't have felt great. Like his life was on the line then. All he wanted was just me to be there with him. I realized that I'd done something right. Like he saw safety in me. He just wanted me to be there because he felt safe with me. Even though his life was on the line and I had to explain to him what was about to happen, he just wanted me there. And out of everything that happened, what I'm about to go through, this is the hardest part that I've had to process and understand is comforting him in a time and telling him that the doctors are going to give him medicine to make him go to sleep. He's going to be asleep for a couple of days and it's to help his body get better. And he didn't want to. He's like, I don't want to go to sleep. I just want to stay here. I want to lay here with you. I'm okay. I just need medicine. And I'm explaining to him that the medicine they have to give you, mate, it's to save your body. It's to keep you alive. So we've got to do this, mate. And he come around to it and I held his hands and he watched me the whole time, man, just didn't take his eyes off me. And he was just smiling like, he was smiling at me like he knew he was going to be all right. And here I am knowing that it's life-threatening, it's critical, and I don't know if it's going to be all right. But I had to, at that time, be the person that I was trying to be, that I've been working on since 21, to be that dad that I wanted to be for my kids. And I'm proud of myself because I was. And the work I'd done for myself and for my family got me to the point where I could be that person. I could be strong and I could be the loving dad I needed to be. And I was. And Ollie was induced into a coma. I didn't even have time to call court or my family. All of this happened rapidly, like very rapidly. And I didn't make the first phone call until they induced him and they said, it's urgent. We go and scan him, check where the infection is and get it under control. So then they've taken Ollie and that's when I've been taken into some room in the hospital. I don't know what it was, family room or something. And that's when I've called court and I said, hey, this happened so fast and I was so sorry that she didn't get to be there for it because I didn't know if he was ever going to wake up again. And so they've induced him into a coma. He's got an infection, he's got sepsis, and it's life-threatening. You have to come back down to the hospital now. So she was working at a daycare that our youngest boy Harry was at. She's grabbed Harry, she's gone to school, picked Kai up from school, and come back to the hospital and come in, and we're sitting in the family room, and I don't think she really understood the gravity of it until she walked in and she's seen the state I was in. She's seen doctors and support workers and the chaplain in the room with us. And I could just see it on her face. And she's just broken down immediately. And she's realized, like, shit, this is bad. And from there, the doctors told us that in their scan, they discovered Ollie had deformed kidneys. We knew nothing about it. We didn't know he had deformed kidneys. Nothing's ever shown in any scans. He had a smaller valve when he was when Court was pregnant with him in the ultrasounds, but that grew back to a normal size when he was born. He had a couple of ultrasounds. Everything was fine. His kidneys were fine. The little valve grew back normal. And they said, yep, no more checkups needed. He's totally fine. But unfortunately, from the doctor said his kidney hasn't grown since a newborn. We didn't know that. He gave us no indications. He was a happy, healthy, vibrant kid, full of energy, full of spirit. He was just my shadow. Everywhere I went, he had to go. If I wanted to go fishing, he was there. And if I didn't take him, he used to hold a grudge against me for a couple of days. It was like he had to be everywhere I was, hunting, fishing, going outside, mowing the lawn. He just walked next to me when I was mowing the lawn, just talking to me. Couldn't hear a word he was saying. He just was my shadow. And going through that part of the ED is the hardest thing I've ever done. It's to comfort your kid knowing that there's more chances of them not making out of this coma. So the last time you're probably going to see them conscious, being alert, talking to you. No one prepares you for that. No one prepares you for what you could feel in that moment. That was the toughest thing through this whole journey I'm about to go through that I personally went through. So from there, Ollie spent 3 days in Townsville University PICU ward, induced in a coma. His infection spread rapidly, started to attack his kidneys, his liver, and his lungs. So they were treating that really aggressively. Gave him some medications too. And this is non-medical terms. This is how I understood it. Constrict all his blood vessels to keep the blood at his vitals, to keep him alive. So his organs and his brain, that's where all his blood was being kept to. They gave him some medication to make that happen. Side effect of that medication is he would lose his limbs because they would die. So in order to keep Ollie alive, we're now looking at best case scenario. He's going to lose his hands and feet, probably part of both arms and leg, in order to keep him alive. So I was like, yeah, no brainer. Let's do it. And we just went all in on his treatment. Like, obviously, everything we could have done to give him the best chance of survival, we did it. What that meant was that his hands and feet and parts of his arms and legs started to die off. They were black, and it'd travel up and sort of die off. We accepted that. We thought, if we can have Ollie here, he's got the spirit of 10 men. He'll handle this, no dramas at all. He'll find a way to fish. He'll find a way to walk and play with his brothers. Yeah, we'll do it. If it means I have to leave the dog squad and do some 8 to 4 job Monday to Friday to help care for him, that's what I'm doing. Like, no brainer, no questions asked. That's what we're doing. And went through that process, and Ollie started to stabilize on day 2 and leading into day 3. And on day 3, we had the opportunity to get him transferred from Townsville Hospital to Brisbane Children's. Both hospitals are fantastic. Brisbane Children's just has a few more resources. So Dr. Anna said, hey, look, and leading into this, we'd have conversation with Dr. Anna. She basically didn't leave that floor for 3 days. She was an absolute weapon. And if any of my kids ever get sick again and Dr. Anna's there, the best possible chance I have to survive. Like, she's the only doctor I want. Give me her. The rest of you can fuck off. She is the god of medicine, in my opinion. And she's a reason we got a month with Ollie. She's a reason Ollie didn't die that day in ED. Like all the other doctors were telling me, he's probably not going to make it out of ED. He did. And she did that for him. She's a reason we got an extra month with him. She's a reason the infection was fought and it was identified so quickly because she's so switched on. She's such a professional, and she was able to do that professionally, but also just be a normal person and talk to us. She sat us down on night 1 and said, tell me everything about Ollie. I want to know about this kid I'm treating. Tell me everything, his hobbies, his personality, his spirit. You tell me everything you can about him. And we did. And I said to her at the end, I said, hey, look, all the other doctors are telling me he's not expected to get through tonight. And I said to her, as long as you keep trying, Ollie has a saying, he made it up fishing one day with me. I was having a bloody tantrum because I couldn't catch a live bait. We were trying to catch a mangrove jack, and threw a million casts trying to get bait for us for that day. And he says, hey, Dad, just keep trying, never give up. And I thought, oh, yeah, nice one, mate. Wise words from a 4-year-old. This was December 23, only a few months before he got sick. And I was like, yeah, cool. Thanks for the pep up, mate. Next cast, filled it up and esky full of fish. And he's like, told ya. And I was just like, all right, that's our new saying, mate. Just keep trying, never give up. And I got it tattooed on me. And I said that to her. I said, all he's got a saying, and this is the story behind it, just keep trying, never give up. You keep being his doctor. You keep doing your thing. You've got us to this point. You got us out of ED. He's in PICU, Pediatric Intensive Care Unit. You've got him here. The doctors downstairs were saying he wasn't going to get here, but you have got him here. You keep trying, never give up. Trust me, that kid will follow. He won't quit. He's not the sort of kid that's going to throw the towel in. Bold words from a dad about his 5-year-old son, but I knew him. So she took that saying on, and she'd always be telling it to him. She'd be saying, when she was doing stuff, hey, Ollie, just keep trying, never give up. She was absolute best doctor, man. Absolute jet. And she got Ollie to the point where he was strong enough is a loose term, but stable enough to get him on a plane, RFDS plane. So we did that, jumped on a plane, RFDS flew myself and Ollie down to Brisbane. Court jumped, my wife and other boys got on a plane the following morning. They flew down to Brisbane. We all linked up down there. And something pretty crazy happened on that plane. The doctor that was the doctor that flew Ollie from Townsville to Brisbane, can't remember his name, but I can't remember what he said. He was Special Forces doctor. I can't remember whether he was command, like tag east or west. I don't know. But he was telling me a bit about himself. He's asking a bit about me, and he said, hey man, I've done this a lot. I've seen a lot of families in your position. All I can say to you is be the man your kid thinks you are, and you guys can't go wrong. No matter the outcome, just be the man your kids think you are. And I was like, fuck, that's pretty good advice. So I just kept playing that conversation on my head whenever things were getting rough, and then I'd play that line through my head over and over and over again. And fast tracking now, got checked into Queensland Children's Hospital. I hadn't slept in like 3 days. If I did, it might have been like 20 minutes on the floor in Ollie's room upstairs. I didn't leave. I took Clyde to footy training once just to get him out of the hospital in that 3 days in Townsville. But I had next to no sleep for 3 days. So I was going a bit loony. My brain wasn't working too well. And the doctors, when I got to Brisbane, they said to me, they're like, man, if you're going to be any shot of being a support person for your family, your wife and kids, you need to go and have a sleep. And I literally got on that plane with my phone. That was it. I had absolutely nothing. I was wearing a pair of Crocs. I didn't even have a jumper. So they've taken me up to the overnight room, the Ronald McDonald House, up just above the PICU ward in Brisbane. And I crashed up there for the night, slept like 4 or 5 hours, woke up, went back down to Ollie, and then Court and the boys got there the following morning. And from there, the police chaplains got us an apartment just down the road from the hospital. We're staying there for a week. In the meantime, trying to get a permanent accommodation at Ronald McDonald House. We got that. And then Ollie's treatment in hospital was every single day was like, it's sort of like my career in Toowoomba. It was every day was something new was happening. Some critical thing would pop up every day for about the first week. And there was a couple of times there where the doctors would say to us, like his organs were failing because his liver was failing, his blood wasn't clotting properly, he was leaking fluid into his lungs because his kidneys failed, he was on dialysis. And because of that, he couldn't retain his fluid properly, so he was holding a lot of fluid. They need to get fluid off him to reduce the fluid on his lungs. But one problem was stopped by another problem. That solution was stopped by problem A. We couldn't find a way through it all. And eventually the doctors did, and Ollie started to make a few breakthroughs. There was a few times in there they said, hey, he's on the most intensive breathing machine we can possibly do to control his breathing. His oxygen sats are dangerously low. He's got blood in his lungs. They're full of fluid. We don't expect Ollie to survive this event. And then something would happen. I'd be praying to the gods. I'd be talking to my brother, I'd be talking to Brett, I'd be saying, whatever you're doing up there, do not accept this kid. Keep him down here with us. Do not accept him. It's not his time yet. Let's keep going. And whatever it was, man, he'd get through it. The doctors, they would literally start laughing in the room and being like, what the fuck was that? And suddenly his oxygen stats would go boom, straight back up into the 90s again. And they're like, okay, he's stable. We can't explain what just happened. And this happens like, I lost count how many times we were told he was going to die and then somehow managed to pull through that event. And the doctors almost found it comical in the end. And it was their black humor. They were like, this kid just keeps throwing curveballs at us that we can't medically explain. But unfortunately, on week 3 of his treatment, he developed sepsis again through one of his IV lines. So they were going into his neck in the artery and another artery in his leg. That's where they administer all his drugs. And he developed an infection in that. He just started to recover. His liver was starting to show signs of improvement. He was managing to produce some urine naturally. His lungs had cleared up a lot to the point where he was actually extubated. So he was woken up from his coma, and for 2 days he was still heavily drugged, but he was breathing on his own. He could open his eyes and briefly communicate with you, not saying words, but mouthing stuff to you. And that was absolutely, I remember that as if it was yesterday, just seeing his little eyes open up and being able to just mouth, I love you. And he just constantly asking, where's mum? Where's mum? Which was pretty funny. And he just wanted his mum. That's all he wanted was just he just wanted his mum, his dad. And when his brothers had come in, he'd smile. And we had that communication. We could see that his brain was still intact. He could recognize us, and the doctor said that's the best test for any sort of brain damage we can do. He recognizes you guys. He's smiling. He's trying to communicate to you. So they said, we're going to keep fighting with this. We're going to keep working on him. And unfortunately, that secondary infection triggered his liver to lose its battle again. The progress it had made, we'd lost. And then he had to be intubated again. So we had just under 2 days where Dr. Anna was actually there for the intubation. She did a few trips down to Brisbane, and she was there the day we extubated him, and we got a selfie. I'd love to try and get the photo, but got a photo of us, and she was amazed by it. She's like, we did not expect him to get to this point, and here we are. And unfortunately, things started to go backwards again. Infection started to take over his body again. His liver shut down again. All the progress it had made had been reversed. And then we were left with about a day out from his passing. I could see that Ollie was progressively getting worse. And I just had this feeling in my gut. And it's like it wasn't my thought. It's like I was feeling what Ollie, maybe his thoughts. I was picking up on his energy. I don't know what it was, but I started to see that he was tired. He'd exhausted everything. And in my head, I'd seen the secondary infection, and the doctors had said his liver's past the point of recovering now. His liver clinically cannot get better from where it is right now. And I knew that was the biggest thing. His liver had to get better for everything else to get better. And they told me it couldn't. And I knew that Ollie had lost his battle. I knew that the decision was going to be made soon on what we do from here. Do we continue treatment? Do we now go end of life options? What do we do from here? And you don't have kids ever thinking that that's going to be a decision you're going to make with your 5-year-old. You don't, like, no healthy mind's thinking about that stuff. But here we are, and I'm trying to find the words to tell my wife that, hey, this is where we're at. That this is real. We're going to have to start considering this stuff because Ollie's done everything he can. He is now the doctors are telling us his liver cannot get better. He isn't going to get better. If we're looking at liver transplant, for him to have a liver transplant, his blood clotting factors need to be strong enough where when they operate on him, he can survive that. He's not going to bleed out internally. His was so bad, even just moving him in bed would cause all his blood pressure, everything to just go crazy and almost die. He was never going to survive surgery. So option one, do we risk surgery and hope a miracle happens and Ollie dies in theatre at the hands of a surgeon, bleeds out? Option two, do we continue the fight and hope a miracle happens and we get woken up overnight where Ollie's had a spontaneous bleed and he's died, which was starting to happen. He was bleeding out of his nose. He was having spontaneous bleeds into his lungs. He was in a really bad way. So that was a likely outcome. It was essentially inevitable that was going to be the cause of death for him if we continue treatment. Or do we then go, the third option is, do we now go end of life treatment? Do we make his passing comfortable? Do we take his pain away? Do we let him pass away in our hands, surrounded by his family, in a peaceful setting where his dignity is maintained, he can pass in a respectful way with his family that brought him into this earth? He can now leave this earth with them. And I had to find a way to tell my wife that, which, where do you start? And then having to tell my kids that, Kai, who at the time was 7, and Harry was nearly 3. And Harry didn't quite get it, but he could sense that it was bad. He knew that his brother might end up in heaven. And we were very honest with our kids through the whole treatment. We didn't hide anything from them. They knew that Ollie could end up in heaven. That's how we describe it to them. And having to tell Kai that, and it was just, that was difficult to just get my head around. That process. How do I just go and, like, some people could look at it as just giving up on my son. But when you're in that degree of clinically he can't get better, like, these are expert doctors, they were having meetings about it, they were seeking opinions from other doctors and other hospitals. All of them come back with the same result: that child cannot recover due to his liver failure. And every doctor had the same advice back to me, and I thought, okay, it sounds crazy to say, but that's an easy decision. I don't want my kid to die at the hands of a surgeon. I don't want my kid to bleed out in surgery. And I don't want my kid, for my own sake of me being able to say, I did everything I could to give him the best chance. We already have. We've already given him absolutely everything plus more. He's shown us, and I said to Ollie, I said to him, I'll know when you stop fighting, because these little bounce backs won't happen again. I'll know, because I'll know when your body's had enough and you are done. And that's what I felt on that day before he died. I knew that his body and his mind, his spirit was done. Ollie had nothing more to give. And for my own peace, is it cruel to then push him to that point and let him die by spontaneous bleed when we might not even be in the room? We could be asleep. We could be anywhere. He's dying. He could just spontaneously die, go into cardiac arrest with a nurse he doesn't know sitting next to him. That's not a respectable death for a boy that's just given everything he absolutely had plus more, and changed the way doctors look at him. So that decision didn't really take much debate. My wife and I were on the same page. We spoke to our boys. They said goodbye to Ollie before we moved him out of his room. And my in-laws come up and picked up Kai and Harry. They took them both out. This was about 6 o'clock on the afternoon of the 21st of May. So exactly a month had passed. They took the boys out down to South Bank. And that's when my wife and I, and the doctors prepped Ollie. We went out on the PICU ward. There's a family garden courtyard, and we didn't know what it was the whole time we were. We used to eat our lunch there, and on that day we discovered that that's where they take kids out to pass away. And you don't get explained that in the PICU ward. You know, you're seeing little mini guards of honor every day for kids. It's a very challenging environment to be in. Kids die in that ward every single day. That's a ward that is so sad and so grim to be in. There's also so much excitement because that's where miracles happen. Kids survive things that are so, the odds are against them. They manage to survive, and families walk out of there and everyone's clapping for them because they see kids win the battle. But there's also a massive amount of kids that don't win the battle, and the families, you see them walking out broke, and there's little guards of honor, the doctors, nurses, other families stand up as they walk past your room, and you hope that's never you. And that day come for us. And there was a mini little guard of honor there. And we walked Ollie out. And there's family there that surprisingly you come pretty close with in that environment. You're going through the toughest thing in your life together, and you don't even know each other's names really, but you know that you're both in it together. You're both going through something similar, through something challenging together. And doctors had come in from days off, nurses would come in on days off, and they were just there for you to see you and your family out for the last time off that ward. And they wheel you out to the garden, and that's when it hit us that that's what this garden's for. Because there's all the lights we always used to look at and be like, oh, look at all the fairy lights. They turn them on when you go out there for that last time. And you're overlooking Brisbane, South Bank, that big Ferris wheel. You're overlooking this beautiful scenery. And Ollie's passing was so beautiful, and there was so much love, and it was so peaceful. And Ollie deserved that. And that's when I say the hardest thing to do was getting him into emergency. It was facing that demon. It was facing the unknown, the fear, building the courage to go into that and face this potentially life-threatening problem. The end result of us deciding to go down that route of end-of-life treatment for Ollie, that was a very easy decision to make. And it's hard to explain, but Ollie deserved that passing. He deserved to be his final breath with his mum and his dad there hugging him, the nurses and doctors that poured everything into him. And he went out with a lot of dignity and respect that day. And it was a beautiful tribute to Ollie and to the doctors and the nurses and our friends and family that had been there to support us and for each other as well. It's hard to, like, people think, oh, describing your kid's passing is beautiful, might not understand it, but it absolutely was. And they take you into a room on the ward, which is where families spend time with children once they've passed. It's a room dedicated to just that. There's rainbow fairy lights in there. There's soft music. There's beds and couches, and you can spend as long as you want in there. It's your final time with your child before they're taken down to the morgue. And that's, unfortunately, being a cop, you understand the grim reality of what happens once we leave that room. And you never want to leave that room. You never want to walk away, because I know where he's going after that. And my wife, bless her, she's never seen that. She doesn't understand it, and she's going to listen to this and now understand it to a degree, but she didn't understand that part of it. And I want to keep that innocence with her. So none of that was spoken about. It was just beautiful, peaceful, loving family time. Our oldest boy, Kai, we went down and met them and brought Kai up. Harry had gone to sleep. And we didn't want Harry to come into that situation. He was young. He was 3, and he got to say goodbye to his brother. He got to have his moment. We filmed heaps of footage of him with his brother for the last few moments, and we thought Kai's old enough to understand everything a bit more, and we want to give Kai some time with Ollie before we all walk out. So Kai come up with us to the room. We dressed Ollie into his pajamas. We washed his face. We washed his hair. We moisturised his skin. When a child passes, you get a gift box from the hospital which has teddies in it. We call them our Ollie bears. Ollie went with his teddy down to the morgue. We all kept our own. And we spent a couple of hours up there with him and just got to just lay with him and just talk about him, share stories, share everything we wanted with him for the last time. With him, his body, his spirit had left him, but his physical body was the last time we're going to see him. And that was, and again, it was beautiful. It was peaceful. There was so much love in that room. And there's parents out there that don't get that. So to go and say I'm grateful to experience that. There's parents that would give anything to have those last moments with their kid. We're in a position where we got to have that with him. So there's families out there way worse off than us. And I'm so grateful we had final moments with our kid, with Ollie. And I remember saying to my brother Dwayne and 40, my nan had passed away a couple of years before it as well. And I said, hey, Ollie's coming to you guys today. I've been telling you this whole time, don't take him, but you're taking him today. He's welcoming me and look after him. And watch him until I'm up there. And I said that out loud into Ollie's ear. And I said, look for your Uncle Dwayne. Look for Dad's friends. Look for Dad's now. They're going to find you. They're going to take you on, okay? They're going to look after you. And I'll be up there one day with you. And it was only a couple of minutes after saying that he passed away. And it was the most peaceful thing. And to not believe in spirituality and afterlife and all that sort of stuff, and then seeing it like that firsthand, it's just, there's something there, man. It's so peaceful, and there's something so peaceful in death. And it sounds grim, but there's something so peaceful, and it's this spiritual thing deep inside of you that you can't even imagine until you see it. And it's a special time to just appreciate that life that you've been privileged of having and experiencing and sharing your life with. And yeah, man. And from there, that's what sparked what's happened post Ollie. Ollie's taught me so much more than I would ever imagine my 5-year-old boy to teach me. He's changed us for the better. He's taught us how to love deeper, to speak what we want to speak to our family and friends, to appreciate what we have in the moment. Let's not wait for this to be the good old times. Let's appreciate what we have right now. Let's love each other better. Let's have a more peaceful life. Let's just worry about what really matters. And that's just having each other and having an enjoyable, peaceful life. And that's what Ollie's taught me. And that's sort of what leads on to post Ollie and what I'm trying to do now. So yeah, man, that's a lot of information to absorb, and it's pretty heavy, very emotional, but yeah, that's Ollie's story, man. That's the journey we went through. That's Ollie's story.
Yeah, about the best I thought I was going to be.
Yeah, you and I both. Actually, I thought I did all right considering. There was a few moments, mate. But mate, there's this thing, right? And I read it once, and it's, if you can't talk about it, you haven't healed from it. And that's why I harp on so much about Ollie's story. And we've never shied away from experiencing what we're feeling and really leaning into everything, because I don't want it to become the burden of our lives and change us into toxic people that are always sad and down. And I want to fuel it to bring positive. So that's why I can talk about it, man, because I don't shut up about it. I just, every day is another day of grieving and grieving better than I did yesterday. So it's, yeah, man, it still gets me every time. Like there's daily tears, man. There's daily where I just get a sudden memory of him, a sudden feeling, something comes back to me, a smell or a thought or a sound triggers something from hospital or leading into him being sick, and it just takes me back to a moment and just freaking crushes me, man. But that's grieving, man. It's a privilege to be able to grieve someone that you love as much as I loved Ollie. It's a privilege to be able to do that.
Oh, yeah, man. Dude, you're a hell of a dad, hell of a man.
Thanks, man. Wasn't always,
Yeah.
but I do my best.
Oh, man. I mean, his last moments were just holding your hand and just wanting you, looking at you, relying on you.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. There's no bigger test
No.
of a man and a father, and you passed it, bro. So
Yeah. Thanks, man. And
yeah,
that's why I find it important to talk about what happened in 21, what changed to the way I look at things, and working on myself to then what happened in 24, and understanding that you got to be working on yourself. It's a daily grind. It's mental training, man. You never know what life's going to throw at you down the track, and you don't want to wait until tragedy strikes to realize that it's too late. Like, start giving yourself everything you can to be the best person you can be, to make the most of your life, to make the most of your family, your experiences, everything, because there's no guarantees how long you're going to be here for. You don't want to wait till it's too late and then regret everything. That's what Soggy's talk did, man. It changed the trajectory of my life massively, and he's one person that's played a significant part in that to help me be the person I am today and help me keep improving to be better in the days, weeks, months, years to come. Certainly nothing I've done by myself. He's been a massive contributor. And through the journey of Ollie being sick, it's a shit way to test mate shit, but I'd rather not test it that way. But to see who's actually genuinely there for you, Ollie's sickness and time in hospital did that. He was a steady hand there helping us the whole way through it. Had some brutal conversations together, and yeah, man, he's a massive part in getting to me to be the dad I've always wanted to be, the husband I've always wanted to be, the person, the police officer to try and help people. He's helped me get there. So he's going to love hearing all this stuff about himself. But yeah,
mate, that's what he does, bro. Yeah,
yeah,
it's the reason he does it is because he fucking can do it. He's good at it.
yeah. And I preach it, man, but it works. Like that test with Ollie is the biggest test of all the stuff that you could possibly do to try and work on yourself and improve your life. And I would hate to be the other version of Joel that never worked on myself, got up to that point, always let my temper control me and just be a shit dad. Or I was never a shit dad. I just wasn't the best dad I could be. Wasn't the best husband I could be. And I was reactive to my kids. If they'd piss me off, I was explosive and stuff like that, right? But I'd hate to be the dad that got to that point in ED and went, fuck, I could have been a far better dad for this kid. I potentially could have given him a far better life. I could have had a better relationship with him. It's too late. He's now being induced into a coma. He might not wake up. It's too late. I'm so glad that I experienced the life I had that's led me to that point and then helped me work on myself and get through it and become better, to then also go through that experience with Ollie and be tested in the most extreme way possible. It proved that I'm on the right path, and I'm extremely grateful and thankful that I've experienced everything I have, because it's got me to where I am now. And I want to try and help other people now through my own experiences to learn from me. I don't want other people to have to go through what I did to learn from it.
Yeah, it's a sad reality that they will anyway.
Yeah.
Hey, dude, tell me about what so what's come out of this, man. Obviously, still in QPS. Massive tragedy. It just fucking takes years and a lot of hard work to recover from, man. You know, if ever,
Yeah.
right? But like you said, a lot of good stuff's come out of it. What are you doing with it, man? Where's it going? What are you going to turn it into?
So it started with a running event, Oceans for Outback. It's for the RFDS to raise money for their service, because they helped us out in getting Ollie from Townsville back to Brisbane. I thought this would be a good charity to jump in on, raise a bit of awareness on Ollie's story. It gives me a chance to, I don't even know the right term, just put stuff out there and keep Ollie's story, Ollie's name, his legacy, keep it alive, and do that through myself and posting on social media. So we put together a team. The police jumped in, and you set a distance to run for the month of October. We made a team. We set a new record. It was pretty good turnout, man. Like raised the most money for RFDS, which was pretty cool. Out of that, Ollie got a little plaque at the new RFDS base out here in Mount Isa. They built him a little seat with a plaque on it. which is pretty special. His name's there forever now. As you first walk in. So what happened there is it wasn't about the running for us. It wasn't about anything other than just keeping his name out there. When he was sick in hospital, we were doing 1 kilometre a day to just get my oldest boy Kai out to go for a run every afternoon because he was doing hospital school down there in Brisbane, and just to get him out of that environment, freshen his mind up, run a bit of the shit out of him to get back inside to spend some time with his brother. So we did 1 kilometre a day, and it was our chance to thank people for their support and all that sort of stuff during that time. And we sort of kept the same platform going with running for Ollie. In that, I randomly one day just filmed myself sharing a story about Ollie in the ice bath. And I was sitting there, had my bloody hairy chest and ugly mug sitting in the ice bath, chattering away in the jaw, sharing a story, and sort of blew up. I had a heap of messages from people being like, "Hey man, you need to do more of that." I got so much out of that. I don't even remember what the story was. So then I shared a few more, like once or twice a week I'd put a video up, and it started to build a bit of momentum, a bit of traction, and it gave me a chance to like get the story out, to process it. It gave me a chance to be, what do you call it, a leader, a mentor, the person I'd sought for early on in my career in Toowoomba to show you how to be the best person you can be, how to process stress, trauma, grief, all of that stuff. And then it become a thing called ice bath chats. So I posted them up on Facebook and Instagram, and then kept them going after the event. And then we made a new event just this year called 30 for Ollie. And it was the exact same sort of circumstances as running for Ollie. Set a distance, but this time the event was solely in Ollie's name. And same deal, posted some videos, shared some stories, some learnings, things I'd experienced, things that helped me, and just built a bit of traction. And now I keep it going, and every week I post 2 or 3 videos on things I've learned through Ollie, the job, being a dad, a husband, just general mental health, well-being, advice, education, stuff on grief, policing, you name it. I just want to try and help people through my own experiences, and with what I've gone through. If you don't have to go through what I've gone through, but you can learn everything I've learned from it, why not? Like it just seems to be a natural way of evolution for all of us to experience stuff from our ancestors, right? That's like, with people talk about that, right? The whole tribal thing, you learn from your elders. And I'm only a young fella. I'm definitely not an elder, and I don't view myself as some sort of mentor or leader, right? But I've been through some stuff in my short lifetime that could definitely help people. So I'm like, why not get it out there? Why not try and become that person? See what it turns into. See if I can make something from it.
Yeah, it's so human, man. It's just so essentially human to tell stories and pass on knowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we
100%.
we cut ourselves down with this fake humble insecurity bullshit, when
Yeah.
really just like, fuck, put it out there, man.
And it's so cringy to do it. Like even now, I don't know how many videos I've thrown up. Let's just call it 100. But I still look at them like, who the fuck are you? Like you're sitting there filming yourself in your backyard or in the ice bath or out on a walk or something, and you're like, no one wants to listen to your shit, man. What are you doing this for? But then you do it, and after a while you get a couple messages of people you don't even know, and they're like, oh man, that was awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that story. You've helped me gain a better perspective, or I want to work on myself to be the better dad before it's too late, and all this stuff. And I'm like, I think I'm on the right path. Like I can help people here, and people can definitely learn from it. There seems to be a bit of an appetite for it. So I'll just keep going, man. And whatever comes from it, who knows? Like I was lucky enough to be invited to do a talk for some police up at Doomadgee Police Station last week, which was awesome. Got to share my experiences through becoming an absolute peanut from Toowoomba and what that taught me not to do to where I am now. And I'm no expert in this, man. Every single day I'm still grieving every single day. That's not going anywhere. I'm still having to work on my mindset. I call it mental training to keep my mind in a state where I can be a good dad, a good husband, good friend, family member and stuff. It's this stuff that I've experienced, man. It doesn't just go away because you've dealt with it. It comes back at random times. It creeps up on you at random times. It can be an ongoing thing. It doesn't have to cripple you forever though. And that's what I want to try to teach people. I'm not a guru. I'm going to get stuff wrong. I still have bad days. I still have times where old habits start to creep back in. If I don't work on things for a few days, I start to find myself snapping again. I'm less tolerant, more agitated. It's a constant grind and it will be forever. It's the life I've chosen. No one forced me to do this life. Didn't choose Ollie to pass away, but I chose to have kids. I chose to have that decision, and I'd seen kids pass away through my line of career, so I knew tragedies happen, but I chose to have kids regardless, and unfortunately it happened, but you know, I own my life that I've had. I own my experiences, my mistakes, my learnings, everything. I just own them, and every day is another day to just keep working on it and sort of practicing what I preach, I guess.
Yeah. No, I love it, dude. Yeah. And what about QPS now, man? What's the go, dude? You just gonna hang around in the cops for a bit, keep doing that?
Yeah, man.
You got plans to?
Oh yeah, man. I'm not doing this job forever. Like I'm pretty open about that. I don't want to do it forever either. I don't want to retire in the police. I enjoy where I'm at in my career right now. Moved back to Mount Isa after Ollie died. All my in-laws and stuff are out here, so it was sort of a natural progression to go back there. And now I'm the OIC, my own little squad here. I got 2 dudes that work with me that are Jets. I got a really good little squad. We're in a really good position, and I'm like, work's good. I'm not going to promote again. If I can't run a dog, I'm not doing this job. And I know straight up I can't run a dog forever. So I naturally know I'm not going to be in this job forever. So, yeah, man, what comes from it, I'd love to eventually step out of the police and help people to learn from me. If I can do some talks, if I can help coach people, whatever that case may be, whatever opportunities present, they'll organically happen with time to come if they're supposed to be that way. If not, I'll just keep doing what I'm doing and yeah. But I'm not going to do this job forever, man. It's shift work, the stuff you're exposed to. I don't know. I don't think it's a healthy career choice to do it from 19 years old till you're 60. I want to retire at 60. Well, I want to retire whenever I retire and be a happy, healthy, peaceful guy that can be a grandfather, a great grandfather, go and enjoy a beer and have a fish in the afternoons and have no worries in the world and just enjoy my life. That's what I want to be and help people, man. I get like this buzz. The other day after that talk, the first one I did for Dumaji, I was like, I finished it and I was on cloud 9, man. I was just like, that felt so good. And I got to share some pretty hectic stories that we just spoke about to them, both in policing and outside of policing, and help them get a different perspective on training your mind, on your mental welfare, on your mental health, and how to set yourself up to have a good, healthy career, and also outside of the job have a good, healthy life filled with peace and love and enjoyment and purpose. Like that feeling I got walking out of that talk is the same sort of feeling I used to get catching good crooks, and I was like, this is the next dragon that I'm out there to slay. Like, this is it. I think this is my next. Chasing dragons, right? This might be the next dragon for me. So,
yeah, there's always a dragon, mate. Yeah.
So, and this one I think is I just really enjoyed it. I felt good. I felt like that might be there might be something out there for me in that space. So, who knows? We'll see what happens.
Absolutely. Yeah, I reckon there is, mate. Hey, look, dude, we're going to wrap it up there, man. But dude, any last thoughts, bro? Anything you want to get off your chest before we wrap it up, man?
Nah, not really, man. We've spoken for nearly 2 hours now, so we've got a fair bit out there. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with what we spoke about.
Yeah, sweet. So, all right, dude.
Anyone ever wants to reach out and just talk shit with anything you might have gone through that I've got a similar story, don't hesitate to find me on Instagram or whatever and send me a message. I'll always answer you. Like, if I can help you in some way and just even just being here for you for 20 minutes if you need to have a vent about something. You know where to find me.
Yeah, perfect, bro. And we'll do a little collab post for this when I do the preview for Insta
Yeah,
and stuff.
sweet, man. Yeah, sounds good.
Hey, Joel, man, thanks, dude, for sharing that. That was about as
thanks for having
hectic
me.
as I thought it was going to be. And I'm
Yeah.
the mess that I knew I would be. Dude, yeah, appreciate it, man. And look, for the rest of you guys listening and watching at home, I'll see you next time. Catch you later. Thank you so much,
There it
bro.
is. Bye.
Thanks for listening to that episode. We've got more episodes on the way. In the meantime, check out warriorsandwardens.com for keynote speaking or workshops for operational readiness and longevity in military or first responder teams using emotional well-being and sharing lived experience. I'm your host, Tom Brown. See you next time.